I'm going to start the agenda, go through the minutes first. That will be number 5 on the agenda. I sort of like to go back and where we were. I don't like to go through it. We're having a meeting and then approve meetings from the previous meeting. So I guess we're going to have to make a motion that I can change the rotation of the agenda from approved minutes at number 5 and put that at number 1 and take Earth Day, and we can put that down at number 5. Do I have anyone that could put that is good with that?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's unanimous. So has anybody read the minutes that thank you, Leland, for putting that together and getting it to Allison? Has anybody read them and like have any thoughts or any questions with them or changes they would like to make? Yeah, go ahead.
I think the that really seems like a great, like I like the AI minutes. If that's do you edit those at all, Leland? Or
What's that?
Do you edit those at all, or is that just how it puts?
It does that's it. It's so good.
I love it.
You covered everything.
My name is spelled wrong, but other than that,
Oh, see that, yeah, it'll like spell things wrong. It gets like names wrong a lot.
and that doesn't bother me. I don't know, like if it has to be changed, but other than that, I think it was pretty impressive that.
Oh, Chris's name is wrong too, actually.
Yeah. So that was the only other thing I was going to say.
I'll make sure I read it before I send it.
Okay.
I mean, if that's.
Amend the minutes to correct spellings of people's names? Is that like a big deal to do, or should we just versus just plain straight up approving it? I think the point of approving them is to have a chance to make changes.
Yeah, I mean, I've read them and it's pretty much on of what we talked about and had discussion with. I mean, if we have some punctuational marks that we have to change, we can do that and then just resubmit it to the clerk, to Allison. That's all we'd have to do.
What I'll do is when I submit these tomorrow morning, I'll just correct that and resubmit.
Okay. All right. That works. So other than that, is there anything else that anybody sees that they're not, are they good with? All those, then I'm going to make a motion that I make that a motion that we vote on this. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So we're unanimous on that. That's good. Okay. So we changed it up a little bit on this. So now we're going to talk about the farm lease extensions, Board of Selectmen meeting agenda. So I did talk with Allison this past week on presenting us for March to go to the Board of Selectmen. So we extend try to extend out some of our leasing for town lands that is owned. I did also mention something to Mika, and he said, go through Allison, make the meetings, make your presentation at the meeting, and that she was going to put us on the meeting for March. She would give us a heads up of when the meeting is. I asked her to be earlier than later, and maybe just before public comment was usually a good idea. Sometimes we could meet before then. So I hope she'll get back to us on those times when she meets with us. I'm gonna, talk to, we're talking here tonight, but for planning purposes and stuff, and maybe it's a start on getting longer leases. I think it's a good way to start moving forward. We could pick up a few years. I think that helps the people that are renting the property now. And it also helps the town that know that, they're getting what they ask the people to do, maintain the fields and do whatever they're doing with the fields. I feel that on that meeting on March, if we could all be there at the Board of Selectmen meeting, I think that would show support and show that we all are working together on trying to move this forward. And whatever the outcome is, they can also maybe give us some pointers of what we need to do, if we need to come in April. And then if it looks good for us and they need us at the May meeting, we might have to go to the May meeting. But I think we have to show like a little support within our committee and be able to answer any questions that they may have that would help us move forward in this agenda of trying to extend some years out. Because any kind of project that the town does do, if they need land or something like that, usually takes years for them to put together. And by the time they get it done, they would say, look, we need the land. You have the remaining years of your contract. And I'm just using a hypothetical thing, and that, we're not going to renew your lease versus year by year. And so I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts about it, but those were my thoughts of trying to make us move forward and trying to get, we tried for 5 years back a few years ago, and the town attorney said, no, you couldn't do it. But there's some new personnel there and there's some new people there, and they might look at it a different way. We might be able to do something. So,
do we have the date of that March meeting yet?
No, she did not give me that meeting yet, Robin. She was going to get back to me this week and let me know. And then what she was going to do was send us all out an email, and a group email, just telling us what date it is. And she doesn't know what time it is. I know it's probably on the schedule already, but she was going to email me everything. That's how Allison, we had left it. So if I don't see anything by the end of the week, I'll reach out to her so you guys can take a look at it. So, if we can all make it, would be great. If some of you can't make it, I understand. But I usually like to get it before public comment, because that's, usually on the earlier side, and we can make our presence and they can, we can all speak into different ways. Christina tried a few years ago to go some other avenues to try to get there, but it didn't work. But maybe we'll figure out some type of way where we, if grants come about, and how we can move forward with that. So there's always, we can keep trying.
I have a question. So
yes.
We did attempt to get a 5-year lease, and last time we'd spoke about it, it was kind of a no, or we'd have to change the charter. But was it, Chris, did you talk to Mika, and was he recommending it was better we go for 3 years? I'm just wondering.
Well, he asked us to make a presentation, come and have a discussion about it, and go through the proper channels like we're going about now, talking with our committee. Then for me to follow up, with Allison, with a meeting that we've, I put the initial output out there to Allison that we wanted to meet, the Ag Commission wanted to have a meeting with the Board of Selectmen for extending years out on the lease. And I said, we're going to have a meeting tonight, and then we're going to have some discussion on it. And then we'd like to all be there in March. And she said she'd get me back with a date. And then as she gets closer to the time, she'd give us a time that we'd all be, set up for on the agenda.
So as the Ag Commission, are we going there proposing that we're looking for a 3-year lease?
Yes, I think we should go propose a 3-year lease. That's my recommendation for right now. I don't think we're going to get 5, but I think 3 years is reasonable. And I just think when you're buying material today or you're doing something with some types of the properties, everything is so expensive. And to try to do it on a year-to-year basis and try to, uh, try to grow the land or try to make it better or try to do a little bit more, you're not really going to do it on a year-to-year basis. If I know I have 3 years and I can try to make something work and try, experiment a little, that gives me a little bit more time to try to put some money into the property, because you got to get a little bit back out of the property. And that's my thought. Eventually, if that worked out, then we could maybe push down the line, maybe for 5 years. That would really help, because then we could get grants from whether state or Fed or whatever money's out there. I know it's everybody would like to get some money from somewhere, but we got to get to one step at a time where we can just start extending out. And we can't go for the whole ball of wax all at once. I think if we go a little bit at a time, I think that gives us a start to try to move forward on this whole lease extension.
Yeah, Chris, I agree with you that I think it might be more palatable to the town if they're worried about tying up their land to have this smaller ask. And from my perspective, I do think the major thing that we ran into last time was whatever the clause in the town charter is that
right,
says they can't do more than 1 year.
Yeah.
If we get 3 years, I think it's very easy for them on a case-by-case basis, because legally the charter will be changed.
Right.
I doubt they would change it to 3 years. I assume they would change the charter to allow for greater lease extensions.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Christina. I mean, they could do it from a case-to-case circumstances. Just the language in the charter, that would be with an attorney to be able to do it. But just to be able to, they could do it on like you said, a base. Each person might have a little different scenario, and if you could change from 1 year to, for the town selectmen to make the decision, makes it a lot easier. We can get some type of get the wheel moving a little. Right now we're stuck in park and we're not moving.
I think that makes a lot of sense too. Like you said, it's a lot more palatable to go for the 3 year, but to your point, Christina, making sure as we get to the meeting where the charter changes that the language makes it possible for the lease extensions to be longer than 3 years, possibly.
Okay.
Because we could say we're proposing we'd like to be able to have 3 year leases on farmed public land, but changing the charter again, we're just getting to trying to do it now. Doing it a second time might be another 10 years out. So
right.
If we could make them change it so there's future alternate possibilities here.
Yeah, so taking a look at that language once I mean, I don't know if we have language we'd want to suggest, or if we just ask, what type of language they would use to approve.
Yeah, I really would like to see a proposal to at the special meeting or whatever it's called, where someone has proposed to change the town charter. What does that proposal look like?
But I agree with you, Leland. And I think one of to start this off, then we need to go in that meeting saying, this is what we're looking to do. How can we go about changing this in the town charter? And that would be for the town council and the selectmen to decide how they wanted to do that. That I think that's the biggest part of what, and they might want to say to us, how would you like to change it, or what wording would you like? And they might want us to come back to the April meeting and say, look, this is what we need you to do. And then if we come back to the April meeting and we do what we do, or do what they ask us to do, then we're getting the wheel starting to move a little, and then they can have a discussion on it and maybe, in May we can get it, maybe something can get changed and move forward. So we'll start with 3 years, and then we'll see what they say. Let's get some feedback from them and see what they say. Is everyone good with that yet? Or does anybody have any other ideas?
Makes
Okay.
sense to me.
Makes sense to you? Okay. I don't think we need
That
to
makes
take a,
sense. I think it would be good if before that March meeting, we had looked at the language in the charter and were able to, give them the choice to tell us what they want, but also have some suggestions of our own.
okay, Robin. So why don't I have Allison, because there's the charter so long, but ask her if she could send us the paragraph or pages that are with leased properties, send it out to us so we have some feedback on that. So as we go into the meeting, we can take a look at it, because we're not going to meet again before they had the Board of Selectmen. I think they'll probably meet before us.
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
If
then
that's,
we
if you
can,
think
So
that's
I just pulled it up here. It's section 4.8, purchase and sale of real property for the
perfect. Thank you.
charter.
I was looking at it as well.
Yeah, and it
I
says
found it,
any
yeah.
lease for a period in excess of 1 year shall be considered a sale, conveyance, purchase, or other acquisition of real property within the meaning of this section. And it was amended in 1983, so I guess we're looking for it to be amended again to not consider it a sale. And I'm assuming they're gonna want a duration associated with what considers it a sale. But I wouldn't want it to be 3 years, just because that limits us to having to go back to amend it again if we wanted to become those properties to become eligible for grant money.
so then we ask them maybe to take the 1 year out and do it on a base to base situation. You know what I'm saying, Leland?
Yeah, I mean, it would be awesome if they removed that. That would be nice.
So what section is that? I'm not
It's 4-8.
4-8.
Sale of real property.
Okay, real property. Okay.
Leland, is there a way for you to copy that section into the notes, do you think?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I know we've gone back and revisited that like at a few of these meetings, but
Right.
just to have it kind of in the recent record would be super helpful. Yeah, so what would be alternative wording? And so this applies to farm leases, but does it apply? Is there any other, I guess maybe that's a question for the Board of Selectmen. What is this intended, what are other intended uses for this statement? Could there be an exception for the agricultural leases? Or is this just like for every town?
I'd be curious to know what caused that amendment to happen in 1983. Like, what was going on that made them decide that they needed to add that?
I think that's something we could ask them, and we're looking for an exemption for the agricultural type of, and I think you got to have a plan. If they're going to give you an exemption, you got to have some type of plan of what you're looking to do with the property.
Well, to your point, maybe the amendment would be, something to around if you're helping grow the value of the property or making improvements to the property, then it's not, then you become exempt to have leases longer than 1 year, right?
Right.
So an exemption to point B, if you are actively using the land and improving the value or increasing the value of the land or improving the land.
Right, because
That's
I mean,
very
It's
good,
not
yeah.
something to say what you're doing to take care of it.
and from our stance, that's technically an investment for the town to be letting their land go for a longer period of time to increase its value or clear the land, and I don't know.
Right. I agree with you. That's, it's a win-win for both the town and the individual working the piece of property. I think those are good, valid points, and we can bring that up at the meeting. But their attorney is the town council will be the one who eventually writes something up to change the charter, and then the selectmen are going to be the ones that vote on it. So we have to give them some points of view of how and why we want to change the town charter. And these are good points that we've just brought up. Those are great. I think that sounds great. And we have it here in our meeting and in the minutes. So when we speak to Allison, when she asks, we can tell her it's that 4.8, the real property of lease extensions for the in the charter we're looking to make an amendment to the charter on that piece. Does that sound like what we're looking to do?
Yeah,
I think that
Yeah.
sounds good.
so
Yes.
Okay. So, I think that sounds good, and let's see what Allison says, and let's see where we go from there. Okay, and we'll meet at the meeting there in March for the March meeting. Is everybody in favor of that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Okay. All right. So everyone's in favor of that. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which was Christina. That was you, the country club, the TAC update and everything. Is there any updates on that?
There are not any updates. There was supposed to be a site walk during one of the snow days in the past few weeks, and they canceled it. It's rescheduled for about 2 weeks from now, Monday the 24th. And I'll have more of an update then about other things that are being discussed, but there haven't been any meetings or any discussion that I know of, unless anybody has had comments made to them personally from this group that they want to share,
Well,
farmers'
Can I-
perspective. Yeah.
can I tell you something very interesting? So I was down in my cousin lives in Greenwich, and I was down there, and a gentleman came to me, and one of his friends, and he's looking for large parcels of property because he wants to grow black walnut trees on it, and he's looking for 50 to 100 acres. He wants to be within a 50-mile of the Greenwich area. He does not want to go into New York. He wants to stay in Connecticut. So the first thing that comes to my mind was, there's not a money issue here with this gentleman, but I said, I think you need to call the first selectman for the town of Woodbridge. I gave him Mika's number, and he was very serious about putting a tree farm up over and do that he wanted to do the whole property. I know the town wants to do something else, but I said, that isn't for me to decide. But I said, usually when they go about, someone comes in and they take large portions of property and they do something, they give some back to the town to use for recreational purposes or walking tracks, or they do something with that. I just look at it as we got to start cleaning up the property. We're trying to work with some ideas. We've been sitting on this property for a long time, and it's not bringing any revenue into the town. So I hope Mika doesn't get upset with me. I really didn't say anything to him, but this was just recently. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just bring this up at our town committee meeting and just get it out there that, there was a gentleman. I don't know, he might call and who knows, but I just thought that, maybe it's something that, not just to throw it out there. I mean, it's not somebody, he doesn't want to develop it. He wants to keep it like a big tree farm and do something like that. I thought that would be very interesting. And would generate some revenue for the town and clean up the area. Just a thought. That's all.
It's an
Do you think
interesting
they could
land
get
use.
more than a 1-year lease for that?
Well, that's the problem. I said they only give 1-year leases out. I said maybe the guy would come in and buy all the property, and the town could put stipulations on it saying this is all you can do with the property. And I thought that would be, something. I mean, that's what I said to him. I said, because he's looking, he says, in 20, 25 years, then I could harvest all this black walnut and everything. It's a high, it's a high priced wood. And I mean, it was just interesting, that somebody like that was looking for property. But there is people out there that would do it. They just need to be pointed in the right direction. And I'm just trying to think of things with the land and trying to things to do stuff so the town can start getting some revenue out of the property and clean it up, because it's really starting to get overgrown and really starting to get to be an eyesore. And we don't want that. We want to try to clean it up and make it look presentable to everyone. And if someone else could come in and really clean it up and do something, that'd be very inviting. So it's just something I thought about. I thought I just should say it and bring it up. But anyways, Christina, hopefully we'll look forward to you at next meeting, and you can tell us what everyone's doing.
Yeah, hopefully I should have an update for you then.
Okay. All right. Moving forward, I just thought this was something we should talk about. They're talking about changing the zoning to 4-story rental buildings, and they're talking that on over on Fountain Street. And I think how that applies to some of the agricultural land that we have in town, where it could affect us down the line if you have city water, city sewer, and things that come up. Where's that going to put us at? I think that the town really needs to look at it in a fashion where there's properties here that really could be affected very quickly. And we'll see what happens. But, there's a lot of, there still is some open land here where people will do that. And if you can get city water, city gas, and city sewer, you'll see more of this. I just think that it's a big change, and I really think that people should have been notified better. And I think people should have really expressed that where they're looking at now to adjoining properties that would be affected by this. And one of the reasons I thought it'd be for us here at the agricultural meeting, would that then move closer over to the Woodbridge Country Club if we decide to, that started becoming some part agricultural things? Is it going to make a big effect on us? Things like that. I didn't know what anybody else's thoughts were, but I think sometimes when you have some big changes, I know there's going to be some public hearings. I think people have to come out, and I think people have to understand that, things will change, but when you do big changes, I think you need to get people on board and what are the advantages to help us out, help them out. And, here at the agricultural meeting, nobody never notified us. I know that usually, committees would always be tuned in to what's going on in the town. And I feel that, we were left out, and I just feel that that wasn't right. And I just wanted to bring it up and let you guys know that. I know when I was chairman of the Public Works Building Committee, we went to every commission and we explained what we were doing, and we were notified of what we were trying to do. We weren't even given, I didn't even get a letter. I didn't get anything. All of a sudden I'm reading in the paper all this stuff that's going on. I just feel that, we're all these committees and everything. Keep us in tune to what's going on. If there's something big that's really going to change, give us a little idea what's going on. We can give you some feedback, and if you want to get support, let's all be on board if we're going to do something. So I brought that up just because I felt that our committee was left out of the whole process, and I thought that we should have been at least notified of like what was going on and how they were going about it, and we've been left in the dark. And so we get it from either flyers that come out, or the monthly letter that comes out from the town. And I sort of like the next, if anything like that, I would just like our committee to be a little bit involved and understand like how we could try to maybe give an opinion or even have a discussion like we're having here tonight.
Agreed.
Does anybody else have any thoughts or comments or no? I just think sometimes they ask us to be on the committees and ask us to do things, and we're all willing and we put our time in. But I also feel that if things are going on in town, I think everyone needs to be involved and everyone needs to be on board before we go through and make some big decisions. So those are my comments on the recent zoning proposed changes.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. If I have the opportunity to bring that up during the country club
Yeah.
through to see how it might impact that property, I'll definitely ask questions about that particular issue. I'm aware in general about the issue and don't know the specifics of where or how it will be operationalized.
Yeah.
So I think getting more clarity on that would be helpful.
Okay. All righty.
Thanks for bringing that up. It reminds me though of something, which is that last time we had talked about that 115 Racebrook property. Did we need to give a recommendation, or were they just telling us about that so that we knew?
Oh yeah.
I don't mean to derail that conversation. It's just something that you made me think of.
I think that was also kind of a zoning thing, and that maybe I was supposed to report back with pictures. I didn't. I was going to go do a site walk with Nicole Donizello, and we haven't been able to coordinate a time to do that in person yet. I think it's kind of hard to get around the site. I don't know that they specifically need a formal thing from us, but I've driven by that property several times since we last talked about it, and I think Chris's feedback and what we had talked about as the group was that it is low lying, it's really overgrown, it looks pretty hard to get in and out of. I, as a farmer, wouldn't choose that one.
If it floods too much.
Yeah, so
I don't think they're asking us for our opinion on whether or not we would want to farm it. I think the question was, do we have any objection to them opening it up to farming?
I don't have any objection to it being opened up to farming. I think the question might also be, is there somebody who wants to farm it? Robin, I think they do think that maybe like one of us.
Oh, they're hoping one of us will jump up.
I kind of think so. And so
that is a very different question.
I think from a zoning perspective, there's no I don't see any downside in them changing it to
No.
agricultural. I don't think there's a downside
Unless
for the town.
PVHC has an opinion.
I mean, that could
Well, I don't know.
someday be a site for something. So I don't think that there's a downside to a zoning change. However, if they were interested in who might take, I think basically they want it to look better. And so they want someone to come in and clear out all of the invasives.
See, that
And
would be so much work that you would need more than 1 year on that.
That's the we're talking about like earlier. 1 year, it's just not enough time. Not enough time.
That's like a 3-year minimum process
Yeah,
to revitalize that space because it's
right.
doable.
So
It's not gonna
that
follow
would
you
be
through the
another
process.
part of the 4.8 real property, when we talk to the selectmen on lease extensions, of how we're gonna, grow the value of your properties or grow value into it. If somebody made the investment, it's an investment for the town too, as well. So those are good points.
Mhm.
Is there any other questions on that or any other types of points of view anybody wants to say? Well, the last thing we have, I'm going to move forward from that, you guys, and was Earth Day. Um, has anybody heard anything back from Earth Day? I just know it's the 20, I think it's the 26th or 27th of
April.
26th of April.
Yes.
Do you want to
So,
talk?
well, sure. Robin and I met to talk about this, and I spoke with Hillary Drum, who's kind of the main event organizer through the Woodbridge Sustainability Committee, uh, ad hoc commission.
I
I don't know exactly what their name is, but Woodbridge Sustainability is putting this on, and they would like the Ag Commission to help lead to help them put together an agricultural presence as part of Earth Day. There are different groups in town who are doing all sorts of different things for Earth Day, and they'd like to have farmers showing local options that are available here. They had suggested a farmers market, which I know Andrea from Sperry Falls Farm did last year. My farm was there, and I think I'm not sure about Massaro, but it was a small thing. Um, they'd like more farmers to be represented. I think it's a great opportunity, but a hard date to be at a market. And Robin had a great idea, and maybe Robin, you can talk about your great idea, which we are hoping to get your feedback on the rest of the commission and also see if we could do it. Anyway, Robin, if you want
Now
to.
you've talked it up. Now I feel like there's an expectation here. But so what we talked about was that it's a hard time for a farmer's market. It's April. There's only so much farm product available at that time of year, and everyone's pretty busy. So we thought about three possible ways that we could have our project. One would be to have some sort of a like co-op farm stand where like nobody had to fill out a whole stand or a whole table, but if Caroline contributes some maple syrup and Christina contributes some herbs and somebody, Massaro contributes some tomato sauce or something, that we could put together a table, like a co-op table that, and we could track like the logistics we haven't figured out, but that we could somehow track who products were getting sold, to have sort of a representation of what products can be purchased from farms in the area. And then secondly, that we could have some sort of a ag commission table with resources and information, maybe maps and information about the various farms in the area, and maybe dates and opening hours, and resources from maybe NOFA or NICFA or Yukon and things like that. And then our third thought was to have some sort of engagement activity for kids, which could be planting a seed in a cup, could be having some worms, could be, we didn't quite get to details, but some sort of, oh, and also something about like what kinds of, like some sort of activity with like what kinds of products grow in Woodbridge or are available to be bought in Woodbridge. And that's something I'm willing to volunteer to put together. Yeah, those were our three, sort of the three pieces that we thought might be able to go together. But we'd love your opinions, you guys' thoughts on what you might be willing to participate in, support, help. Is this a crazy idea? Is this something you want to jump in on?
I think that's a great idea. I think even if there's like a flyer at the Ag Commission stand of every uh farm stand that they can go to throughout the season.
The general season and hours.
Yeah, exactly. Like here's off center, hours, like picture of the farm stand. Um, and I think having sort of like a co-op table like that, like Andrea's got her hot sauce, we could have a little picture of her farm stand right there. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. It'd be like the little farm track of Woodbridge, you know, you show all the little farms, the addresses. I like, but you put the hours and the season and some of the specialty things that you do. I think that's a good idea, and how we can make something up for if we get pictures and something, we could take some pictures and just make like a little flyer for it or something like that. Maybe they would do that at town hall for us if we got them the information. They could print it off for us or do something like that.
And
Just so we could have something at the table and show people some of the different things that we could do. I think that's a good idea.
going along with that, Chris, it might be cool as well to even have a little bit of a calendar. Like this is when Merry Mountain opens. This is
Yeah,
when the corn maze generally is.
right.
Massaro has their spring festival and they have their,
Summer
farm day.
dinner. They have a big summer dinner at the end of summer.
It might kind of make it seem like there's like agricultural events in addition to where we are every week, but like maybe people could just
Yeah,
do the circuit.
yeah. I think that's good, and we could, if you talked about the stand and things that you wanted to do, we could bring some hay bales in because you don't even really have flowers growing yet. You know what I mean? In greenhouses, you really
It's
don't
even
have.
early for seedlings.
Yeah, it's just too early. It's, um, and but I think just throw some things, or bring a couple of things in. Gives me an idea to think of a few things, and then we can just talk about it, and it's something for me to think about. This is good. And we could email one another and just say, hey, look, I was thinking about this or thinking about that, of how we could add to it. So
Oh, and one thing they said as well is that I think they're open to Bethany Farms potentially participating too.
oh,
I don't know if anyone has any contacts in.
I do. I
Okay.
have quite a few. Yeah.
Oh, great.
You wanna
Then
maybe send them to us, or do you want us to reach out to them and see if they'd be interested to participate?
Like I know them up at Clover Nook very well,
I
and
know a few farms in Bethany.
Lars
Chris,
Demander's very good.
oh, Chris, yeah, totally.
Bethany Farms and Nursery, if you want to do nursery landscaping stuff.
Oh, yeah. I
Would you
think
want to
They
open
would
it to
actually
Orange
have
too for
something about
BOW or
that.
just do Bethany and Woodbridge?
I think we should add those, but I don't know. What do you think,
Why
Cassandra?
don't do you want to ask the people running Earth Day?
Yeah, we'll ask the people.
Up to
running
them
Earth Day.
if they
She
want to,
mentioned-
how broad they want to go, because I know most of the farmers in Orange.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. I think
Okay.
this is exciting. We will, maybe Robin and I can we have sort of put together some of our thoughts.
Yeah.
Maybe we can send them out, what we're proposing for this Earth Day thing. Or, for the market table, and then resources table, and then the Ag Commission, or the activity table, and then Ag Commission sort of resources, promotion, kind of farm info. We can send you kind of a description of what our thoughts are for that, so that if you reach out to farmers that you're friends with, you can have that kind of to describe what we're thinking about. I think they said last year there were about 5,000 people who attended, which for a town like Woodbridge feels like a good turnout.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they all went to the farmers market portion, but if we had a great presence, people would come.
That sounds good. Why don't we start with you making the list up with Robin and you, Christine.
Okay.
And then we can fill in some blanks. And then you ask how far they want to go with Earth Day. Do they want to leave it Woodbridge? Do they want us to add Bethany? Do they want us to go do all 3 towns, BOA?
Mm-hmm.
And then if it is, then we can reach out.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I could come up with some sort of activity too, because that's what I do when I teach. So for hands-on with kids.
Great.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I think
That's
they
great.
you do an activity and I do an activity, then we'll be great.
Okay. Well, this sounds good. Thank you, everyone.
I think it'll be fun.
Well, you guys, is there anything else anybody would like to talk? I mean, have any more discussion, or are we good? Does anybody want to make a motion for adjourn the meeting? I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I get a second?
Okay,
Robin, second. All those in favor? Aye.
Bye.
All right. We'll see you next week, and we'll share some emails along the way. Thank you, everyone.
good. For next month.
All right.
Next
Have a good
month.
night.
See you guys.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Bye.